Tomorrow, the 19th of May 2026, the cosmos abruptly and violently halts the comfortable, drifting narratives of your daily existence and drags your conscious mind directly into the terrifying, absolute, and electrifying crossroads of your ultimate karmic destiny. We are waking up to a highly pressurized, intellectually unforgiving celestial atmosphere defined by a massive, revolutionary, and historically defining energetic pivot. Do not look to the heavens tomorrow expecting casual conversations, easy negotiations, or the gentle, predictable flow of ordinary information. Instead, prepare your physical vessel, your highly sensitive nervous system, and your entire psychological architecture for a profound and absolute cognitive shockwave. This is the exact moment the messenger of the gods, Mercury, forcefully crashes into a rigid, inescapable square with the lunar nodes, the ancient, invisible axis of your deepest past karma and your highest, as most terrifying future potential. This specific astrological signature represents the ultimate, violent collision between the decaying, comforting lies you have cowardly told yourself and the sudden, electrifying lightning strikes of absolute, undeniable cosmic truth. The universe is unapologetically demanding that you completely strip away the comforting illusions of cognitive safety and unearned luck. The mental poison is finally coming up to the surface to be eradicated. To successfully navigate the profound, electrifying depths of tomorrow without having your nervous system completely shattered by its intense energetic gravity, we must meticulously dissect exactly what this specific, terrifying convergence demands of your life, your wealth, your body, and your ultimate destiny. Let us begin by understanding the sheer, terrifying majesty of the forces at play on May 19. Mercury is the architect of your perception, the ruler of data, commerce, and the complex circuitry of your physical brain. When Mercury forms a harsh, uncompromising square to the nodes of fate, its immense rapid-fire processing power is forced into a suffocating, inescapable psychological bottleneck. It violently drags the hidden mental corruption, the parasitic thought loops, and the profound, unspeakable cognitive dissonances of the collective directly out of the shadows and into the blinding light of the conscious mind. You are standing at the exact intersection of what you have always known and what you are absolutely terrified to become. When we turn our unwavering gaze toward the sacred architecture of your wealth, your expanding financial empire, and the ultimate trajectory of your material investments, the cosmic events of May 19, 2026 dictate an atmosphere of ruthless, systemic mental dismantling and extreme, visionary financial truth-telling. You must deeply understand that wealth generated under the crushing, exposing, and revolutionary influence of this karmic crossroads is absolutely not found in traditional, outdated, and decaying intellectual structures, and it categorically does not come from blindly following the herd's financial illusions. Money tomorrow responds exclusively to the high-frequency vibration of absolute mental clarity, unquestioned strategic mastery, the painful elimination of obsolete agreements, and the agonizingly hard, relentless auditing of your digital and professional networks. The energy of this square will fiercely illuminate the toxic structural entanglements in your financial life. The parasitic contracts, the draining verbal agreements, the hidden algorithmic controls, and the exact places where you have surrendered your individual sovereign voice to the collective machine. The cosmos will gift your mind with the cold, calculating, and unapologetic power to sever those intellectual ties with the surgical precision of a laser. If you have been desperately searching the shadows for a convenient, painless shortcut to massive prosperity by relying on the decaying systems and unfulfilled promises of the past, tomorrow will harshly and violently shut that deceptive door directly in your face. You are being forced to stand up and face the cold, concrete reality of building a permanent, unshakable, and radically independent financial legacy by your own hands, utilizing the cutting-edge, unapologetic truth of your own visionary ideas. This is an incredibly powerful day for completely rewriting your professional trajectory, restructuring your digital portfolio with cold, unemotional precision, and demanding the exact financial independence you know your intellect deserves. Let the flawed, archaic communication structures fall, clear the digital rubble, and draft a new, impenetrable blueprint for your empire based exclusively on radical, unquestionable honesty. When we turn our unwavering, critical gaze toward the intricate, miraculous machinery of your physical body and your delicate, energetic health, The momentous celestial events of May 19 issue a severe, inescapable warning. This specific cosmic alignment brings a terrifying revelation regarding the immediate physical manifestation of an overloaded nervous system, strained vocal cords, and the extreme biological danger of holding on to toxic, outdated mental programming. Your physical vessel is not merely a passive observer to this violent astrological pivot. It is going to bear the direct, agonizing, and highly somatic brunt of this massive cosmic heavy lifting. Your body keeps an exact, unforgiving karmic score directly wired to your thoughts. To successfully survive this transit, you must deeply understand your astrological anatomy. Mercury explicitly rules the complex circuitry of the nervous system, the respiratory tract, the hands, and the bioelectrical currents running through your physical brain. When this highly sensitive planet violently and suddenly collides with the heavy, destined gravity of the lunar nodes tomorrow, the internal pressure created is exactly akin to a massive power surge striking a delicate, unprepared electrical grid. The toxic, stagnant mental energy buried deep within your subconscious is being forcefully and mercilessly pushed upward, directly crashing into the hyperactive circuitry of your daily awareness. This extreme, polarizing internal pressure will easily and rapidly manifest as intense, bone-grinding anxiety, severe, debilitating mental looping completely locking up your faculties, sudden nerve pain shooting through the extremities, or a profound, heavy sense of psychological exhaustion accompanied by the absolute, unavoidable biological need for deep vocal and mental unplugging. You may feel a terrifying, suffocating sensation, as though the sheer volume of information, the sudden flashes of painful truth, or the collective panic you have cowardly swallowed are suddenly overloading your synapses, aggressively demanding immediate, undeniable release. You absolutely cannot aggressively stimulate your mind, endlessly scroll through screens, or blindly talk your way out of this specific, high-voltage energetic signature. While your instinct may be to consume more information and panic, the absolute best way to manage your health tomorrow is through highly disciplined, agonizingly slow, and intensely focused somatic grounding practices. Heavy, physical grounding barefoot on the earth, structured, slow-moving breath work focused entirely on the lungs, and complete vocal rest are absolutely mandated. You must consciously command your nervous system to release the traumatized static it is holding. Furthermore, you must actively and intentionally use your physical environment to shatter the stagnant, buzzing energy in your head. The cosmos aggressively demands that the raw, shocking truth of these karmic downloads be processed in absolute silence. You must aggressively hydrate your system with pure, mineral-rich water to physically conduct these intense electrical upgrades and flush the cellular toxins generated by mental stress from your mutating body. Consume foods that are deeply grounding, heavy, and root-based to tether your volatile spirit. If you feel the mental pressure building, do not explode outward into chaotic, scattered arguments. Retreat instantly into absolute silence. Sit with a perfectly straight, unbroken, rigid spine and breathe the dark, buzzing tension completely down into the earth. To completely dominate and harness the overwhelming monolithic power of the 19th of May, 2026, you must implement a tactical, hour-by-hour timeline that turns this oppressive, high-frequency cosmic weather into your ultimate strategic advantage. Action tomorrow must be cold, calculated, and relentlessly consistent. When you wake up, do not allow yourself to linger in bed or succumb to the heavy, chaotic static of the collective mind. Rise immediately with the terrifying precision of a seasoned general. Your morning must be defined by strict, unyielding routine. Do not look at your phone. Do not allow the demanding, frantic, and deceptive thoughts of the external digital world to pollute your sensitive mental architecture. Spend the first 30 minutes of your day in absolute silence, physically writing out your exact, non-negotiable, psychological, and intellectual boundaries for the next 24 hours. You must write these goals not as hopes, but as binding contracts of sovereignty with your own soul. As you move into the core working hours of the afternoon, the energetic pressure of the squaring Mercury will reach its most intensely pressurized mental peak. You will inevitably face communication roadblocks, frustrating systemic delays, manipulative conversations, or collective structures that fiercely attempt to gaslight your individual vision. When you hit a psychological or structural wall tomorrow, You absolutely must not react with hot-headed, emotional anger, nor should you collapse into helpless despair or engage in petty arguments. You must react with the cold, dead-eyed calculation of a master hacker rewriting a corrupt code. Analyze the obstacle, detach yourself entirely from the emotional manipulation of the group, and systematically dismantle the problem piece by piece with chilling objectivity. When you communicate, let your visionary intellect be your absolute scalpel. Speak slowly, clearly, firmly, and without a single trace of unnecessary apology or herd mentality. Cut away the pleasantries and deal strictly in absolute, undeniable, and revolutionary truths. Lean entirely into the friction of establishing your ultimate, independent cognitive authority. While the monumental, terrifying gravity of this celestial alignment undeniably crushes, reshapes, and fundamentally alters the psychological and material landscape of every single individual walking the earth, the specific, inescapable geometry of the cosmos directs the absolute, blinding maximum intensity of this peak toward three specific zodiac signs. For these three distinct archetypes, the 19th of May 2026 is categorically not just a difficult day of passing mental storms. It is a profound, unavoidable evolutionary choke point. It is a mandatory, painful rite of passage written in the stars that will permanently and irrevocably alter the entire trajectory of their mental framework and their deepest psychological reality. The very first and most profoundly impacted sign standing directly in the crosshairs of this cosmic event is Gemini, with your absolute ruling planet, the lightning-fast Mercury, violently crashing into the rigid, heavy, and inescapable axis of karmic destiny. Your entire internal operating system is going to violently crash and demand an immediate, uncompromising reboot. You are the undisputed sign of the intellectual explorer, the adaptable communicator who thrives exclusively on gathering data, juggling multiple realities, and living entirely in the fast-paced currents of information. Tomorrow, however, the universe forcefully and unapologetically drags you out of your safe, superficial chatter and throws you directly into the deep, dark, and terrifyingly messy waters of absolute, singular truth. You are going to feel an intense, almost agonizing, and deeply physical level of internal pressure building within your mind. Your desperate, stubborn desire to maintain your options open and avoid definitive conclusions at all costs will violently collide with immovable, concrete walls of intense karmic demands, sudden psychological purges, and the harsh, undeniable revelation of the lies you have told yourself just to stay comfortable. Gemini. The universe is forcefully demanding that you finally learn the agonizing but absolutely necessary lesson of intellectual integrity and definitive choice. You can no longer rely on sheer, brilliant adaptability to ignore the festering, rotting indecision in your soul. If you throw a reckless, detached tantrum tomorrow, if you lash out in impulsive, intellectual arrogance, or if you desperately try to talk your way out of taking responsibility for your karmic path, you will only shatter your own sanity against the impenetrable, freezing stone walls of the universe's absolute truth. You must sit quietly in the incredibly uncomfortable tension of a severe cognitive crisis, and you must ruthlessly evaluate your internal narrative with cold, calculating precision. If you can successfully master your own deep-seated fear of commitment and truth tomorrow, this powerful transit will gift you a terrifying, truly invincible power. You will transition permanently from a scattered gatherer of data into a masterful, untouchable generator of true, grounded, and revolutionary wisdom. The second sign thrust directly and violently into the cold, transformative fires of this monumental alignment is Virgo. As the other sign ruled by the analytical and highly sensitive Mercury, you are bearing the absolute, crushing reflection of this entire cosmic weight directly upon your intricate nervous system and your profound desire for perfection. Tomorrow is not just a day of minor scheduling friction or detail-oriented frustration. It is a brutal, inescapable crucible of immense, unavoidable exposure regarding the toxic mechanisms of control you employ to mask your deepest anxieties. By your very astrological design, you are built to organize the chaos, to serve, to perfect, and to demand absolute efficiency from the external world. You have spent years carefully constructing a magnificent, highly controlled environment, trusting that your flawless routines will protect you from the messy unpredictability of the universe. But tomorrow, The universe is relentlessly piling the aggressive, blinding, and highly disruptive light of the lunar nodes directly onto the foundational pillars of your most trusted coping mechanisms. You will feel an overwhelming, suffocating, and almost physically unbearable pressure building within your chest to entirely purge the toxic, draining cycles of overthinking, hypercriticism, and the insidious perfectionism you tell yourself is necessary just to survive. Under this immense, inescapable gravitational pull, you may experience a sudden, brutal, and profoundly sobering psychological realization regarding a deeply ingrained core dynamic of anxiety and micromanagement that you have desperately clung to out of pure terror of the unknown. You will clearly and unavoidably see the rotting, crumbling foundation of the analytical masks you have worn for years to appease those who do not truly see your spiritual exhaustion. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to salvage or superficially organize a broken mental pattern karmically meant to be destroyed. The intense, agonizing vulnerability of losing control that you will inevitably feel tomorrow is the exact, pure, and necessary fuel you desperately need to completely rebuild your autonomy and your unshakable trust in this physical world. You must violently, coldly, and unapologetically reject any obligation, draining routine, or parasitic mental loop that does not directly, honestly, and powerfully serve your ultimate, long-lasting spiritual and material transformation. Step fully, bravely, and without a single backward glance into your rightful role as the unquestioned, independent sovereign of your own inner peace. The third sign destined for a monumental, reality-shattering, and deeply psychological experience on this specific day is Sagittarius. With your ruling Jupiter expanding the intense crossfire of this mutable axis, and Mercury activating your foundations of communication and belief, you stand directly in the exact crosshairs of a profound, agonizing, and completely unavoidable philosophical awakening. You are the master of the big picture, the confident visionary, the seeker of ultimate freedom. You usually survive the harshness, betrayal, and unpredictability of the world by seamlessly managing external optimism, anticipating grand futures, and expertly navigating away from the complex, restrictive details of the immediate present. However, on the 19th of May, 2026, the comfortable, intense, and dogmatic narrative of ultimate righteousness you have safely constructed over your lifetime will be violently, totally, and entirely burned away by this heavy, imploding cognitive convergence. The deeply hidden inconsistencies in your philosophies, the massive intellectual blind spots of your specific worldview, and the heavy, suffocating details of the immediate reality that you have been desperately avoiding by hyper-focusing your immense power on external escape will forcefully demand your immediate, agonizing, and undivided mental attention. You will suddenly, painfully realize that successfully preaching to your external environment or maintaining public optimism does absolutely nothing to secure your internal, foundational truth or quiet the roaring doubts in your own psychological basement. The absolute worst, most destructive, and profoundly dangerous thing you can possibly do tomorrow, Sagittarius, is to stubbornly attempt to philosophize, preach, or strategically run your way out of this raw cognitive dissonance, or to try and blindly project your rapidly rising, overwhelming internal anxiety onto your peers or immediate surroundings. You cannot theorize, obsess over, strategically plan, or aggressively travel your way out of a profound, foundational, and divinely mandated intellectual purge. The universe aggressively, relentlessly, and unapologetically demands that you finally stop looking at the distant horizons and macroscopic promises of the external world, and finally look down at the massive, terrifying, and rotting factual foundations of your own buried intellectual arrogance. You must aggressively ground your vast, intense, and naturally expansive energetic power directly into the painful, messy, undeniably dark and profound dirt of the actual, unfiltered facts. Only by walking willingly into the uncomfortable, granular darkness of the present moment truth can you permanently secure your authentic light. In ultimate, definitive, and final conclusion, tomorrow, the 19th of May, 2026, is categorically a day of monumental intellectual gravity, intense, unrelenting psychological pressure, and incredibly necessary structural dismantling of the mind that will deeply, undeniably echo for the absolute entirety of your upcoming karmic cycle. It is a defining, historical, and deeply polarizing day in our collective timeline, where the highly sensitive, deeply analytical human mind is forcefully required to strip away the soft illusions of comforting lies and put on the heavy, impenetrable armor of cold, absolute, and revolutionary truth. You absolutely cannot escape the immense, crushing, and deeply penetrating pressure of this rare, high-voltage cosmic alignment. No matter where you attempt to hide your racing thoughts, how many distractions you consume, or what decaying, outdated societal systems you attempt to cling to for a false sense of security, the storm is not approaching. The storm is already inside the house, inside your very mind. However, this is not a sentence of destruction. It is a profound initiation into ultimate cognitive mastery. By aggressively, consciously, and deliberately applying extreme, unwavering mental discipline to your minute-by-minute daily actions, and by maintaining an intense, fearless, and unbroken focus on constructing an entirely new mental reality based exclusively on absolute, unvarnished, and shockingly innovative truth, you can expertly utilize this heavy, oppressive alignment to fundamentally secure your permanent, unshakable cognitive and material legacy. Speak your deepest, most terrifying intellectual boundaries into actual, physical existence with cold, unshakable authority that leaves no room for debate or misinterpretation. Vigorously, actively, and consciously protect your incredibly fragile, overloaded nervous system from the overwhelming, crushing, and deeply erratic weight of this atmospheric electrical stress. Unplug from the chaotic noise of the collective herd, ground your physical vessel deep into the silent earth, and walk boldly, stoically, and with terrifying, absolute mental discipline directly into the roaring fires of your total transformation. You are no longer permitted to play small or hide behind the comfortable intellectual excuses of your past limitations. The infinite, uncompromising cosmos demands absolutely nothing less than your ultimate, undeniable evolutionary best tomorrow, and it is entirely, unequivocally within your sovereign, unyielding power to deliver it. Claim your brilliant mind, sever the heavy karmic chains of the past forever, and rise as the undisputed architect of your own spectacular destiny.